I can't even speak right now. It's literally the moment we've all been waiting for. This year, this is what I've been counting down to. It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. And I am so excited to review this with you guys. I am going to do a recap of It Ends With Us and then a review of it because I'm still in love. And then I will do a review of It Starts With Us. And I am so excited. I was going to post this. I gave myself 2 days to finish this book because I have a very busy schedule right now and everything's crazy. Finished it within 5 hours with having work all day and also filming this video to have it posted for you guys within 12 hours. And just a heads up, this is going to have major spoilers for It Ends With Us. So if you haven't read the book yet, please stop where you are because literally I am going over everything that It Ends With Us has in it. I will be going over It Starts With Us and a few spoilers, but I will give you a non-spoiler version that you can kind of go to in the chapters in the video. So if you don't want a spoiler and you want to still kind of get a review, you can go to that, but I will also be giving you spoilers because I can't wait to talk about them and I'm so excited. So before we can do a review for It Starts With Us, I know that's what everyone wants to see in this video, I absolutely have to recap and review It Ends With Us for you guys. Before It Starts With Us came out, I actually reread It Ends With Us. The first time I read it was maybe 6 years ago. So I didn't remember a lot of what happened in the novel. I just knew that I liked it a lot. To start with the recap, I'll go ahead and go in chronological order. It's going to be easier for me to remember what happens rather than going in the order that the book went because it went back and forth between two time frames. But basically, Lily Bloom, when she was younger, around 16 years old, 15 years old, she grew up in an abusive household. So her father was abusive to her mother, but not necessarily abusive to her. So Lily would always go downstairs when her father was hitting her mother to make him stop because he never seemed to want to abuse her mother when Lily was around. Soon, this boy shows up and he literally lives in the abandoned house behind her house. So Lily knows that he's homeless. She just doesn't know anything about him or why he's homeless. She just knows that one of her friends was making fun of the way that he smelled on the bus to school one day. So when Lily starts to get closer to this boy, she realizes that he's homeless because of the same thing, because of an abusive household. So they bond over this and they get closer to each other. Lily brings him food, she brings him clothes, she makes sure that he doesn't die in the winter, and his name is Atlas. They end up actually falling in love and bonding over things like The Ellen Show and gardening, which is more Lily's thing, and their similarities in upbringing with households and how they were abusive. As the story goes on, Atlas actually gets in touch with his uncle and finds out that he can move to Boston with his uncle. Lily's really upset about this, but she's really happy for Atlas and knows that she can't hold him back and make him stay in this situation where he's homeless and can't fend for himself. So he goes to Boston, even though they now kind of have this romance and they're kind of in love with each other. And eventually he comes back. When he comes back, he's in Lily's bedroom and they actually sleep together. Well, her father finds him in her bedroom and literally beats him up to an inch within his life. This horrible thing happens to Atlas after he's already been through so much. And after this, he moves back to Boston and literally Lily never hears from him again. Flash forward, after Lily has gotten out of college, she is living in Boston because everything is better in Boston, just like Atlas said. Her father just died. She gave the eulogy at his funeral, but decided not to say anything to take a stand against who he was as a man because she never liked her father. She never thought he was a good man, so she didn't say anything good about him at his funeral. When she comes back from the funeral, is back in Boston, she goes to a rooftop and she meets a man named Ryle. So Ryle is one of the only people who have made her feel feelings down to her toes, what she says, a voice that gives her feelings down to her toes. And she hasn't had anyone make her feel like that since Atlas. So she's automatically intrigued. She tells him about her dreams. They talk a little while, but then they go their separate ways. They don't do anything, they just go their separate ways. When Lily buys a building for her flower shop that she's always dreamed of opening, she ends up hiring someone who coincidentally happens to be Ryle's sister. So she comes back to Ryle and they actually form a romance where they get together and they eventually get married. What happens is she actually finds out that Ryle is abusive as a partner, and she's super upset. She doesn't know what to do because she knows she's not like her mother. But then Ryle's sister forces Ryle to tell Lily what actually happened to him as a child that makes him have these blackout rages. And it turns out that he accidentally shot his older brother with a loaded gun that his parents kept in the house. And now he has problems with his temper and he blacks out and he doesn't know what he does. No excuse, obviously, but Lily ends up deciding to forgive him and try and keep their relationship going after this. Well, he does it again, and eventually she runs back into Atlas. This was actually before they got married, but she runs back into Atlas in Boston. And when Ryle pushes her down the stairs after they're married, she actually goes to Atlas's house to stay with him. Nothing happens between them, but as she's there, she realizes that she cannot be with Ryle anymore and that they need to get a divorce. But she also finds out that she's pregnant. So flash forward a few more chapters, and Lily has the baby. She allows Ryle to stay in the baby's life, but she doesn't stay with Atlas or keep in touch with Atlas because she doesn't feel ready as a person to be with Atlas, either romantically or as a friend, because she knows it's going to affect her decision to either stay with Ryle or not stay with him because of the baby. But when she has the baby and it's a little girl, she knows that that is it. She cannot let the cycle continue. And it ends with this really, really sweet moment where she tells the baby that it ends with us. The cycle ends with us. There's no more abusive relationships between us or our partners. And then the epilogue is when Lily is bringing her baby to go spend time with Ryle, and she runs into Atlas. Well, so she brings her baby to Ryle, and then she chases after Atlas, and she says, "I'm ready now to be in a relationship with you," and that's where it ends. And that is where It Starts With Us begins. So that's the full recap. Now I want to give you my review. It Ends With Us was absolutely heartbreaking. It was something that I wasn't necessarily prepared for. And being that I read it almost 6 years ago, I was in a very different frame of mind than what I am in now because I am older, I'm married, I understand a little more about relationships than I did 6 years ago. I think it was better the second time that I read it than the first, which is so funny. But the whole entire story, it breaks your heart. It makes you happy. It makes you sad. It gives you every single emotion that you could possibly have in a book, which is great. That is absolutely what you want. Colleen Hoover did everything in this book. And I actually listened to the author's note at the end. Highly recommend it. It's all about how she writes for entertainment, but this book came from her experiences and things that have hurt her in her life. And I think that those are the most powerful books to read and to write as an author, obviously. It Ends With Us. The characters were fully developed. They all had so many different emotions, so many different personalities, backstories that all tied together. There was no plot hole that I found. The tension, the emotional and romantic tension between Ryle and Lily had me actually rooting for Ryle and Lily to be together, even though it wouldn't have been something that should have happened. I think that eventually, if Ryle got help with the therapist and he was able to get rid of those blackouts where he had rages, that maybe they would end up back together, but it was not in the cards because he was doing that. He was abusive. So Lily, obviously, she could not stay with him. That's just not an option. And I totally get that. But Colleen Hoover wrote those characters so well that you were rooting for them even though they were in a toxic situation. Obviously, I rooted for Atlas more because Atlas was just amazing and he was this wholesome, sweet guy in the beginning when she was younger. And now he's this man and whew, okay, yes, can't wait for my review of It Starts With Us to get on to that with you guys. But overall, if you love emotion, if you love feeling things deeply when you're reading a book, if you love gaining empathy for people's situations, this is the book to read. Read It Ends With Us because it opens so many doors and sheds light on a situation that most people do not understand. It was by far one of her best books, 5 out of 5. I don't know. The only book that I have read by her that tops this is Reminders of Him. And I really enjoyed Reminders with Him, but rereading It Ends with Us, they are side by side right now for me. So, yeah, with that being said, let's move on to my review of It Starts With Us. You guys are going to be mind blown. Your hearts are going to be breaking. It was amazing. It Starts With Us basically picks up where It Ends With Us left off. It sounds kind of funny to say it like that. Lily and Ryle are trying to make their relationship work as Lily navigates her life as a newly divorced woman trying to raise a child and still be amicable with the child's father. So it is a little complicated, and you get this whole relationship with Atlas and Lily, which is really great. You get to see them work as a team, and you get to see their relationship, and you get to see how things get a little bit more complicated with Ryle. So it's kind of giving you an idea of what you're getting into starting this book. So this book is very family centric. I really enjoyed it. It focused a lot on family bonds, family ties, and how we navigate with those bonds. Also, with people who aren't necessarily blood relatives, but you treat them like family anyway. So I really enjoyed that because you got a lot of that deeper relationship with so many different characters. I really, really, really liked that part. And the thing that I was most excited about with this book when I was reading it is that you got to see a lot of what you questioned at the end of It Ends With Us. Because you knew that, okay, Lily divorces Ryle. Yeah, cool. Where does that leave them? Ryle doesn't just stop being who he is. He was actually a lot scarier in this book. Um, so it left you with those questions, and It Starts With Us. You get a lot of those questions answered. You get to see how Ryle reacts to Lily starting to date again, and it's really built up this tension in the book, and I thought it was really great. Seeing Lily and Atlas specifically, was amazing. I literally, Atlas is the definition of what every woman wants in a man. He is kind, he is thoughtful, he is caring. He literally always thinks about Lily and her needs, and he even said that her daughter is number one in her life, no matter what. It doesn't matter who is in her life, her daughter will always be number one, which I really appreciated. Like I said, family centric. And another thing that I really liked about this novel is you see a lot of human decency. What I mean by that is that you see a lot of these characters acting in a way that you wouldn't normally see people act because they knew it was the right thing to do. And I really loved that because I love seeing these characters that you love so much make decisions in the right way. And they do it for the betterment of everyone in the situation. Even if it's a hard decision, even if it's a tough decision, they do it because they know that it's right. And that, I really, really, really love that. Okay, so this isn't really a spoiler, but I definitely wanted to ask this in my video because it left me questioning what kind of person everyone is. And in the book, there's a scene where Lily looks at Atlas's phone and she sees that he has hardly any notifications. He's a neat freak, but when he asks Lily how many notifications she has, she says thousands. So which person are you? Because I am definitely the person that as soon as I get a notification on my email, I either have to look at it, read it, and sort it into a separate folder in my inbox or delete it. I cannot have notification, the little red notification bubbles anywhere on my phone. It drives me nuts. Okay, so next I'm going to move on to the spoilers. So please, 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 if you haven't read the book, don't go any further because I just really want to talk about it. I need someone to talk about it with, and you guys are it. So number one, like my literal most favorite thing about this whole entire book, I did say the family centric, and this is how that ties in. Atlas finds out that he has a brother, and his little brother's name is Josh. And that relationship between Josh and Atlas, oh my gosh, it made me melt every single time I saw it. I just, it was so sweet. I mean, Atlas was the perfect father figure for his little brother Josh, and Atlas wanted to make sure that Josh got everything that he never got because he knew that their mother was absent, and he knew that Josh's father, even though that's not Atlas's father, was not the best person. Atlas stepped up and he took that role as a family member to Josh, and it was just so heartwarming to see him do that. I literally this is going to sound crazy, but I think I like that better than the romance. I loved to see every single scene with Josh and Atlas in it because they were so cute together. Atlas did this cute little brother thing where he'd pick on Josh, and then he did the father figure thing, and Josh would always pick back. It was just so cute. I was in love with it. It was amazing. It was the best part of the book, if I'm being completely honest, with Josh and Theo and Atlas. That whole little family dynamic, it was so cute. And then the other thing that, oh my gosh, this is the part where I meant the human decency. I died a little on the inside when Elisa got her husband Marshall and Lily, and they basically ambushed Ryle and made him talk about his problems with Lily because he was still being abusive. And the fact that even though that was Elisa's brother, and she literally confronted him about it, and she stood by Lily's side, and Marshall did too, even though that was Marshall's best friend. That was the most amazing thing to see because Lily didn't come in that long ago. It's recently that they became friends with her, but they still stuck by her side because they knew that what Ryle was doing was wrong. So they called him out on it, and that's what everyone should do when they see something that is wrong. Is you shouldn't side with somebody just because they're your friend or your family. If they're doing something wrong, it's wrong. Period. End of story. And seeing Marshall and Elisa do that, I was so ecstatic. I loved seeing that dynamic between them. I loved that they were always by Lily's side. It was amazing. And their characters are the greatest, to be honest. And one last thing, one last spoiler, because I just have to mention it because it warms my heart. Lily finally got her garden. So guys, we waited this long for this book. I want to know what your thoughts are. Please leave me comments down below. Tell me what you thought of this book. Tell me if you loved it as much as I did, because I'm still not over it. I'm still trying to process it, even though I'm literally making a review video for it right now. If you like this video, please subscribe. I do so many videos, especially with Colleen Hoover, because she's my favorite author at the moment. And yeah, I want to know your thoughts. Please talk with me about this because I am dying. I need someone to talk to about it with. Don't forget to read Colleen Hoover and see what everybody's talking about because she really is the best.